One of the coolest things I did about 2.5 years ago was I actually spoke at the Googleplex in Mountain View, California. And has anyone ever been to the Googleplex in the room? It's awesome, right? It's like Disneyland for business people. Right? It's amazing. It's a lot of fun to be there. And I was doing the closing keynote for a retail event that they were holding. And the opening keynote was the Chief Information Officer at Google at the time, who's since moved on. And he said something that actually floored me, and it really made me rethink business. Did you know that every single day on Google, 20% of all searches done in the engine are searches that have never been done before? 20% of all searches done in Google every single day are searches that have never been done in the engine before. How many people here work for a media company, either buying or selling or actually are? Right? How would you feel if I told you that 20% of your inventory you have to sell, you don't even know what it is? You'd be like, I don't do that. I mean, as a former magazine publisher, that was the whole secret, is I know exactly the content I have. I know exactly what I have to sell to make my revenue. So when people talk about Google and how we need to be more like Google, I don't think they really understand the ramifications of that. I mean, if you knew that your business was going to change 20% every quarter and you didn't know where it was going to come from, you'd have a heart attack every week, every single day. I mean, it's almost unimaginable. That's why I think we need to be more like Google. This is a company that's doing some pretty good revenues and some pretty serious innovation. And they're doing it with the understanding that we don't necessarily know what the customers want or where they're going to come from. But we have to be able to, whatever we do, create an avenue where we can market to them or talk to them or connect to them. So that's where I push marketers a little bit to think and try and be a little bit more like Google. How many people here still have dial-up internet access? Really? You have dial-up? For real? Wow. Where?
I don't have a choice.
Oh, okay. Well, not about that. That's so one out of, and we all laughed at her. So there we go. But that's the point. Is it's sort of like dialogue, like what? You know, like it seems so crazy to us. And it's not that long ago that it was very common that all of us had dial-up, right? And then how many people do you know who are just not online for their work or just don't go online? Sort of weird. Like if you heard, like imagine I came to work for your company. And I said, there are two things. One is, I don't want a cell phone number, I don't want an email address, I just want to work. You'd be like, what? Like, yeah. That's sort of how we communicate now, isn't it? So this is an interesting thing. They do this survey on people in North America, and they're able to establish that 48% of our leisure time is spent online. Now you're probably saying, like, I wonder what that number is in Sweden. I don't necessarily know. But think about like what that means, because you're like, I'm a busy person. How could half of my time be online? I take my kids to soccer practice. You know, we do homework together. I'm with my wife, my husband. Normal, right? But we are all online all the time. I mean, you go for brunch, and someone says, hey, what time is H&M open? And you go onto your mobile, and you're online. Or you're just at the office, you're online. I mean, we're all online here. We're connected. That's the way of the world. And so there's been this shift too that, again, we don't stop and recognize that everybody is online. And we're not just doing it for work, we're doing it for social things as well. How many people here work on a laptop? I'm just curious. Oh wow, so almost all of us. Good work. This is what the name of my second book, right, tentatively, is going to be The Great Untethering. I believe we're all untethering from physical workspaces. And so you do this, I bet. You do this when you come home, you put your laptop on your lap and the TV's on in front of you too. How many people do that? Right? How many people were doing that like 6 years ago? So this is really interesting. We suddenly have this new thing that we're doing. This is called multi-platforming, where you're using two media platforms at the same time. My niece, 14 years old, she's like a freak. She can multi-platform like 6 different things, right? She's got a laptop on the TV, her iPod and her BlackBerry, and she's just rolling through media.